Welcome everyone. I hope everyone is doing okay and enjoying a nice Saturday again. I'm happy to be again with you, and we are in week 5 of Become a Solutions Architect. Really excited to talk a lot of interesting stuff today also, and we will have lots of interesting stuff related to solution architecting, generative AI, machine learning. Stay tuned, and we would have lot of fun as we move forward. Now, as an icebreaker question, I want to ask you which web series you are watching right now. Means if you are following something, let me know, or if you have any recommendations, so let me know too. I will give you my thing. What I'm doing, I'm spending some time on watching Reacher on Amazon Prime. If you are watching something which is interesting and which I can also watch, let me know, and let me know any other suggestions you have for spending little on the weekend. Venkata is going for Reacher. Yeah, Silo on Apple TV. I have not checked that. So I'll check that one. Yeah, Reacher is a good one, I guess. And not sure this time, like they are staggering the episodes release, right? So none, any good ones. Vasu, you it depends on what your taste is. BeSA web series. I like that one. Thank you so much. And Reacher is, yeah, I think it is Reacher is talk of the town is a Dabba Cartel. I heard about that, Brajesh. I heard about it. I haven't watched it. Panchayat, I think it is still season 3 or season 4 is coming up. I haven't. I'm not sure on that, but yeah, I watched a previous Panchayat series. So while we are talking about this, let me welcome others to the session also. So we have Prasad with us. Hey, Prasad. Prasad is
Hello
still in
everyone.
India, and we have Kavya also with us, who would be helping us today in understanding machine learning without writing any single code. Venom on Amazon Prime. That's one. Dupaiya. Rupesh, I heard about that too. It is a good one. Wheel of Time Prime. I've seen that. Disney Hotstar. Which one in that, Ranga? Which particular series? Hello from Dubai, Anita. Thank you. So we'll have Prasad and Kavya again on stage, but let me start the session and keep your questions coming. We will answer them in chat. Kapil is also helping us into chat, so feel free to ask as many questions as well. Raksha is talking about Friends. Come on, that is an evergreen series. Yeah, everyone should have watched it probably, hopefully by this time. So let's get started and discuss about some of the interesting stuff for today. What we are going to discuss today, we'll be talking about this particular stuff. We will be focusing on no code machine learning, and then we would be focusing also on to the things related to what topics to prepare for AWS SA technical phone screen. And Saurabh would be joining us today, and probably you have seen some of his books or some of the work he has done. That is really interesting books he has authored. So we'll talk about that. And stay tuned. There is a giveaway also. He's generous enough to give 3 copies of his book. So the 6 copies total for 2 of the books he has written. And we will be talking about more as we move forward. But yeah, keep asking questions into the chat. Now, we want to also announce winner for week 04. This book goes to Cloud Career Journey book goes to Kamalpreet and Douglas. Douglas has written a nice write up about all the sessions which happened, all the learning from that, and same was done by Kamalpreet. And Kamalpreet is also helping a lot of people into the Discord channel. So keep doing the good work, Kamalpreet and Douglas. Thank you so much. And we encourage everyone to share about it so that we could also have more people joining BeSA and learn from it. And obviously, we will try to give you book also as a token of small appreciation from our side. But that's all we have for today. We'll be having more information for week 5 as we move forward. Thank you. Let's talk about technical track about using machine learning without writing any code. So we need to understand why we need this particular solution, right? We are not just learning that, okay, we can do machine learning without writing code, but we need to understand what specific problem we are trying to solve. And that's what we are interested in understanding. So let me talk a little bit on that. So let's see, what are the common challenges customer face when they talk about machine learning? What you think are the common challenges? Please put the details in the chat that what you think are common challenges if you have to start a machine learning project, what you will be having as a hurdle, or what challenges you have to navigate from if you want to start a machine learning project. Could be n number of things. Let me know in chat what you think are the common blockers for people when they are trying to start machine learning project. Data set, Ashish, yes, it can be a lot of data is there, so finding out the right data or finding out the accurate data would be important. That's it, that is required. That's true. Data collection, Brajesh, yes, it can be, because our data is spread across in so many places that is very complicated thing for us. And when manipulating data, Data is a new gold. I agree on that, Ivo. And then using the right natural language processing. I agree on that, Rafael. Yes, having a specific language will help you. Skills, a good one. Yeah, skills is a little complicated. And daily new models into market need to cope up with the quick updates. I agree on that also. That is a lot of changing all the time. Infrastructure setup, that's a good one, Nitish, because you need to have higher processing systems, graphical processing, and the neural network creation will require a lot of networking component also. Setting up ML ops and ML platform, these are some common challenges. Biases into the model, that is a good one, Karthik, too. So let's talk about some common challenges which I feel you will be seeing when you start building into it. First thing, as somebody said rightly, is skills. So there is not enough ML builders available for us. Not everyone knows machine learning, or people shy away from writing complicated code. Everyone thinks, oh, machine learning requires so much of scientific and statistical and lot of programming knowledge. So that is one of the blocker. A lot of people shy away from it. So what we can do, we can try to make machine learning more easy to do, rather than having a lot of complicated program to be written for that. So yeah, that is one thing we are trying to solve here. Second is processing and labeling massive volume for data for ML. As you already said, data is a problem because we have so much data, and the data is not generated with the intent to be processed by machine. It is just generated. Now we need to fine tune it in such a way that we can leverage it for machine learning. So that is also going to be a challenge in this particular case. So what if we can have some purpose built data preparation tool which will help you from labeling and then prepare data for machine learning with few clicks. So that's what we will be learning today. Then problem is there are disparate data science tools. There are a lot of data tools available. Some data tools are using Python, some other using Spark, another using Scala. Lots and lots of challenges between integration of these tools happens. So what if we can give you a integrated ML tool into one single interface, rather than going from one tool to another and then coming back to the third tool? We can build, train, and deploy everything using ID into one single interface. That's what we will be trying to do. And then lot of ML processes, like somebody talked about ML operations. Yeah, that's true. ML operation is complicated, right? So we want to also solve that problem by building a ML ops capability. We can implement ML ops and streamline the ML lifecycle. So this is the problem on the left side, and on the solution on the right side, and we'll see how we are going to utilize these things. So the service which can help us in this particular scenario is Amazon SageMaker. SageMaker is not one single service, though it looks like, but it is group of multiple component and services put together. So that's what SageMaker is. I'll talk a little bit more on that, and you will see these things into hands-on also when Kavya will be explaining you about these all things, right? So SageMaker is what we are going to talk. As per Amazon, SageMaker is a one-stop shop for machine learning needs. Whether you want to build a model, train a model, fine-tune a model, want to create data set, want to create feature set, want to share feature set, want to publish your model, all these things, go to one single shop and you would be able to get everything from there. That's what SageMaker would allow you to do. Then it allows you to perform end-to-end and fully managed way of machine learning. And it's a modular platform. You may go ahead and use some component of SageMaker, others you may not need it, or you could say, okay, I would be using the full end-to-end cycle of SageMaker. So you could leverage that in both cases, should not be a problem at all. So both things are there. Now, some of you may have a question that, okay, we already have a machine learning service called Amazon Bedrock. So why we need SageMaker? What is the benefit which I'm getting with SageMaker, which Bedrock is not providing me? Or Bedrock is designed for a specific use case. SageMaker is designed for a different use cases. Let me explain little difference between them through analogy, and then we'll go into a specific explanation about these into technical terms. Probably a lot of people buy these type of ready-to-eat meal when I'm traveling and I want to eat something quick. I do not have time to go to a specific restaurant. Maybe I will go to a supermarket and get a ready-to-eat meal, maybe heat it if required, or maybe just consume it. I do not have time, and that's where I can go ahead with this. But here I'm limited to what options are available for me on to the shelf, right? Maybe I'm looking for a specific ingredient which is not there, or I don't want, maybe in this particular case, maybe I don't like the green beans and I want to remove it, but it may not be possible because it's a ready-to-eat meal. It has been created with the general audience in mind, and it is now available for me to consume. What if I need more customization? So what I could also do, I could buy all the vegetables from market and then bring every single thing into my kitchen and start preparing. I need to know the recipe also for that. I need to have right ingredients for that. Sometime I would need a different spice. Sometime I would need a different type of vegetable. Sometime I would need a different type of cheese. So then I have to perform a lot of buying from supermarket, and that can be a little challenging. So in that kind of cases, companies like HelloFresh has come up, and what they do, if you look here, this is a recipe card, and in this recipe card, they have information in detailed format, step 1, step 2, step 3, and they give you all the ingredients also, whatever you need for it, right? So if the recipe requires 1 tomato, they would ship you 1 tomato in a box, maybe for a week, right? And then you want to have cheese or maybe oil or maybe sugar, they would keep everything into a single box, and then you can start consuming it. It will save a lot of time, and then it would ensure that you are able to follow up the specific recipe which they have created. Maybe sometime I may put extra salt or I may put little bit more chili, but when they give me specific proportion of the things, probably I won't be making the mistake in that particular case. And that same thing happens with Amazon SageMaker. So we will be seeing that in a minute. Can we build a setup like a Bedrock like setup using SageMaker? Of course, why not? Bhavin, you can do it. So we'll discuss about some of the things. See, Bedrock abstracts away all the models. So you publish all your model and then expose them through SageMaker endpoint. That can also work, should not be a problem. Yes, you could do that. But would it be beneficial? Do you have very specific use case why I will not use Bedrock rather than building Bedrock again? It depends, right? But yeah, technically possible. So when we talk about Bedrock versus Amazon SageMaker, the main difference comes that Bedrock is the easiest way to build and scale generative AI application with foundation models. So companies have created foundation model. Facebook has Meta has Llama, and then Amazon has Nova. Then AI21 has their Anthropic models and all, or Claude model and all. So what we have done through Bedrock, we have created these models and provided you in a serverless fashion. You want to access Bedrock, you want to access DeepSeek, you want to access maybe Nova. Just go to Bedrock service, and behind the scene, everything would be made available to you. You do not have to worry about setting these things up, putting the configuration, then setting up the pipeline and updating it. We will make sure everything is available for you in Bedrock service. So it gives you an interface to talk to multiple foundation models depending on your use case. And it has its own feature, like there is a guardrail and there are indexes available. Then there are options for purchasing capacity in advance so that you pay less. All these options are available with Bedrock, right? But it gives you access to the model which has made available. You can also bring custom models. But what if I need a lot of customization, or none of the model which is there is able to solve the problem I have? That time, probably I will turn my focus towards the SageMaker service. So SageMaker is a way for you to train and or build foundation model from scratch. That's what we can do. Or you could take, let's say, DeepSeek model, which is available publicly. You download it into SageMaker, fine tune it to your use case, and then run it. Same you can do fine tuning of Amazon Nova models if you need to. So all of these would be able to utilize these particular things. That's how it should work. Jatin has a question. Databricks ML is becoming popular. What are the advantages of using SageMaker over Databricks ML platform? I'm not a Databricks expert, Jatin, so I won't be able to comment on it. Every platform has its own plus and minuses, so check which serves your purpose best. But I have no expertise on Databricks ML, so won't comment on that. Now, what we can do through SageMaker? We are focusing on generative AI use cases using SageMaker. So let's see what we can do. So what you can do, one thing here, that you can access and customize publicly available FMs. So here we can take a foundation model, customize it as per our need, and then create a task specific foundation model. Let's say I am just trying to utilize a foundation model for image analysis, or I'm looking it for only for text processing. So I can take any standard foundation model, customize it as per my requirement, and then make it a task specific foundation model. That's what I can do. So we can have a faster time to market, we can maximize the accuracy of a specific task, and we can achieve domain adoption using this particular way, where we are using a custom model publicly available and then customizing it as per our use cases. So that is one thing we can use generative AI for SageMaker. Thanks, AK. Your Nova course is fantastic. Thanks for that feedback, AK. And anyone who has Nova interest, let me know, and I would be happy to share some more detail about the Nova course, which I just published on Udemy and Thinkific. Second is, There are a lot of use cases for companies who want to build foundation model from scratch, right? Let's say I have a diet requirement and I cannot eat something which is available in market. I have to create my own food, or I have to cook my own food. But then I have to go to supermarket, buy every single ingredient, buy specific quantity. Maybe I want just one potato, but no market is selling me one potato. I have to buy a kilo of potato, which may not be useful for me. So instead of that, I could go ahead and say, okay, I would build my own foundation model, but give me all the ingredient into one place. I need automation, I need guardrails, I need to have a way to perform optimization, I need a way to create features, I want a way to have ML learning done, I want to create data separation, I want to create data tuning. All these will be provided by SageMaker. So if your use cases that you want very specific way of building your foundation model from scratch, then use SageMaker. So you can build, train, and deploy your model. So as there was a question, can I deploy model using SageMaker? Answer is yes. You could have deployment methods available by which you should have no problem in deploying these SageMaker models. Should not be a problem at all. All right. All right. Any more questions, anyone? If everyone is following along, give me a +1 and we will go to the next screen. We'll talk a little bit more on the ML workflow on SageMaker. So give me a +1 and we'll quickly move to the next screen. Bobby is having a question. Bobby, I would request you to check the previous session. So see, when you want to customize a model, the easiest way is prompt engineering. If that serves purpose, good. If not, then you will go for RAG. If RAG is also not sufficient for your domain, then you will go into fine tuning. So RAG is a second level step when you want customization from foundation model. But if RAG is also not able to deliver the result you are expecting, then you would be going for fine tuning, and that's where SageMaker will come into picture. So in previous session, I give shown a screen where we start with prompt engineering, we do RAG also, then we go to fine tuning, and then we create our own model from scratch. So that can be done. Okay, thanks everyone for +1. Let's keep moving forward. So on a very, very high level, what you would be doing when you want to build a model, this is what you would follow. You will prepare your data set, you will build the model, right? You will train it, and then you will deploy it. So this is what a high level overview looks like when you want to build things on SageMaker. And here I'm just mentioning some of the services, not all services at all. So some services of SageMaker which can be really useful here is SageMaker Canvas, then there is SageMaker Studio, then we have specific services just for data collection, like ground truth can be utilized on that. Then your SageMaker Data Wrangler, which can be really useful tool. You can store features into feature store. That will be also possible using your feature engineering feature, which is Amazon SageMaker feature store. Then it comes to evaluating different model. That is where Amazon SageMaker Clarify can help you. When you have to build model, that time you would need Studio Notebook, you would be using model registry, you would be having SageMaker Autopilot, which will fine tune your model and all. So all these are available into your build processes. And when you have to perform training of your model, which require a lot of compute resources, you want to do it in a distributed fashion. So SageMaker support distributed training. They also have a concept of hyperpods now, which you can leverage. And then when it comes to parameter tuning, so there is an automated model tuning module also, which you can leverage. So this will make your life much easier. Rather than you creating every tool for a task, there is tools available, and through SageMaker, you combine them together and build your model. And once your model is ready, testing is done, you want to deploy it. And maybe this process would be automated in a pipeline method. So SageMaker has its pipeline also. Sometimes you may also want to deploy your model on a small devices, and that's where you can have a small student model created through SageMaker Neo. So Neo can be helpful in that case. And then SageMaker has model monitor, so you can monitor how your model is performing, when you need to perform retraining, what is the output coming out, what kind of hallucination it is getting into. So all this information you can find through SageMaker. So that's what your SageMaker Studio will help you in this doing. So this is a plethora of services, and again, it is partial list. It is not a full list of all the features of SageMaker, but as you could see that it has covered you from the starting point of data preparation up to the model deployment and monitoring. So everything is available into one place, and through that you would be able to get what we need. Today we will be focusing on SageMaker Canvas. So Canvas is a nice service which helps you in getting most of your applications output or getting your model ready without performing lots and lots of complicated stuff. And everything will be done through a easy to use machine learning for easy to use interface. So you don't have to worry about creating complication. So we'll be focusing on SageMaker Canvas. So SageMaker Canvas is an auto ML service that gives people no coding experience ability to build models and make predictions with them. So it is pretty easy. And then Kavya would today help us in understanding the workshop. We'll share the link of the workshop also. Try it on your own. Just be aware about the cost associated, but you should be able to practice a lot using SageMaker Canvas, and you can see the model from importing and joining data set, then cleansing the data, performing data adjustment if the need be. You can have sharing features in that, and you can perform automatic prediction using it. So that is all going to come into the workshop. So I think it is a good time to go into the workshop. So I'll call upon stage Kavya, and Kavya would be helping us into understanding this particular session.
Awesome.
Hey Kavya.
Hi, Ashish. So if you're all ready, we'll get started with the lab.
Yep. I'll add share screen and I'll add it here. I'll
Sure.
remove my screen share from here. And keep your questions coming. We are answering question in the chat as much as we can. And if something is remaining, we will probably address it through other methods. Let me add it to stage. Go ahead, Kavya.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, awesome. So now we are exploring the workshop, which is SageMaker Canvas Immersion Day. So if you can see, yeah, it is Amazon SageMaker Canvas Immersion Day. So you can set up this workshop using your own AWS account, or if you have used workshop account previously, you could also use that. So today we'll be focusing the basics of how we can have all this build, prepare, train, and deploy our models on SageMaker Canvas. So we are exploring a part of this workshop, which is end-to-end machine learning, which covers all these aspects in one place. If you're interested at a later stage, you could also focus on time series forecasting, computer vision, and so on. So let's start with this lab. So just to give a context of what's the use case, so we have a use case of bank where we have certain set of data related to bank marketing, where we have customer data, their demographics data, and also their age and so on. So our problem is to know if a customer in a bank would purchase a certain product. So it's like a yes or no. It's like a customer is coming to a bank frequently, and we want to know like if you would buy the same product in future or not, and that product would be the certificate of deposit. So just to take an overview of our data, we have our data set fields like age of the customer, the job of the customer, and contact, like the what of the communication type, and the duration of how long the customer is with the bank, and so on. So our main target focus is to predict if the customer will have to buy a product in future or not, which depends on this target variable y. So this data set is available in this workshop link, and it's publicly accessible. You could just click on the download option and it gets downloaded for you. So it gets downloaded with the name bankmarketing.csv. So now we have all the data and we are all good to prepare our data set. Now let us go into the AWS console and go into the SageMaker canvas. I have already have my own account set up, and this is how, if you are new to the console, this is how a AWS console would look like. And we need to go to a Amazon SageMaker AI, which has Amazon SageMaker Canvas. Before even going to SageMaker Canvas, before even going to, sorry about that, going to SageMaker Canvas, we have two concepts, which are SageMaker domain and SageMaker user. SageMaker domain is like a logical boundary we are creating for your SageMaker resources. And it's just easy and simple to set up. It's just like click next, 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 and go on. And we need to set up a SageMaker user through which you would be able to perform all the operations like building, deploying, and so on. So I have already set up those, and I'm using my own user profile and my own domain to perform this lab today. So if you have seen in the left here, we have an option where it says Canvas, which is our SageMaker canvas. And I'm opening that canvas using my own default user profile, which I have already created. So it says it is redirecting to SageMaker canvas, just takes a while. So if you can see, this is how the SageMaker canvas looks like. We have all the widgets and all the information here ready to access, to have that everything at one place, all the automation and machine learning tools at one place. So let's start with our data preparation. So there is a tool called Data Wrangler, as Ashish have showed us how we can use different services, different features of SageMaker Canvas to do some analysis of our data. We will start at Data Wrangler to prepare our data set. So we have a bank data set downloaded already. And what we have to do is just we can import a new data set. So that data set type could be a tabular or it could be an image data set. So the data set which I already have is like a CSV format. So I'm selecting a tabular kind of data set. And when you select a data source is nothing but where you are getting this data. You could have certain set of options, like you could select from Amazon S3, it's like a storage service if you have seen about it. You could simply select local upload, and I'm selecting that option since I have that downloaded data set in my own local machine. So I'm selecting local upload, and I can drag a CSV or Parquet files here, and I'm selecting my downloaded bank marketing CSV file here. So it is, if you can see, it is loading and it's getting uploaded here. And we are all ready to import our bank CSV file to prepare our data. And I'm simply clicking next. So if you can see, once we created or once we uploaded our data, it gives us some preview like, hey, this is how your data looks. And it gives like top 5 or 6 rows to see if you have how the data looks like in the initial steps. So we have our headers like saying age, job, marital, education, and all the details. And we also have certain import settings. So we are taking like a sample of your data set for this import, and it is recommended to have like 50,000 items to have the holistic view of the data set. So I'm just keeping it as 50,000, and then I'm importing. Just click import. Once you're good with all the data and good with all the import settings, clicking import.
Kavya, is it possible to zoom in a little bit more?
Zoom in, right?
Yeah,
Is it
this
okay?
is better.
This
Yeah,
is better. Okay,
good. Thank you.
awesome. So are we good until now? If you can give me a +1 in the chat, that would be great. Ashish, can you monitor the chat for me, because it's kind of difficult to move through the browser. If everyone is okay
Yeah,
until
don't
this time.
work, chat. I'm taking care of that. And yeah, I'm
Okay,
getting a lot of +1, so keep going.
awesome. So now we have imported our data set onto our canvas. And if you can see, this is our data. And this data wrangler creates a kind of a graph for us, which has all the chaining of all the steps we do. So we have uploaded our data source here, and we have also have our data in the data types, like from the source we have uploaded our data. So what we can do next is, if we have performed this ML coding on a notebook, first thing we would do is just see how our data is, to explore, get some insights. Are there any outliers? So for this step, what we could do is we could use an option called as get data insights. So from the chat, I'm clicking get data insights, and this window has popped up for me. And you can create an analysis name, and I'm saying data insights for bank. And since we have already discussed, our main target column would be Y. It is predicting either the customer would purchase a product, yes or no. Since it's like a yes or no problem, the problem type would be classification. And we can perform this analysis, say, on that sample data set. You could also do it on full data set. I am selecting sample data set for now. So once we are good with analysis type, analysis name, and target column, which is very important, and problem type, we can create an option to get some statistical insights from this data. If you can see, the report is being generated, it is 13% being generated with the summary having dataset statistics. If you can see, we have the number of features as 1 and number of rows as almost 40,000 plus. And the percentage of duplicate rows we have as 0.05. And we also have some feature details related to each of the data type. And we also have some of the duplicate rows count specifically for each field. And if you can scroll down, we have like a field called duration, which is how long a customer is associated with this bank. And we can see that this data set feature is most impacting the overall data. It has like 0.219% of feature score here. Similarly, we have duplicate rows count and so on, and anomalous samples, and some details about a target column, and so on. So if you can see, there is an important field saying high priority warnings. So apart from giving us number of anomalies, feature summary of our data, and also like any missing columns and so on, we have this feature called as high priority warnings. For example, if there are any like anomalies or any severities in our data, it would get displayed at this area. And now we can see that there is no high severity warnings in our bank marketing data set, and we are all good to go. So now we have explored our data a little bit. We can perform some preparation. We can see how we can improve the overall cleaning of our, we can make the data more clean to make it more ready for our model building and also deployment. So let us go into our data flow. And if we can, I'm just zooming in a little bit out. So it says we have performed some data quality and insights report, which we just performed. And it says there are no higher priority warnings. So from this, the next step would be performing some additional cleaning and additional preparation. For that, I'm just simply selecting this plus button, and I'm selecting add transform. So when you select this kind of feature called add transform, you can add multiple transformations. You can drop columns, add columns. We have almost 300 options to choose from to perform these transformations. So from our workshop, one of the transformation we could perform is to just drop some of the columns. So some of the columns we could drop are employee variation rate, some price and confidence index, and so on. I'll go ahead and drop some of these columns with the option manage columns. And we can select the confidence rate, price rate, the variation rate, say the P days, and we can do the drop for these columns for now. And I'm just simply adding these. So now we have the data which is dropped, and we don't have the columns we do not want. So now that we have the clean data, we have dropped some data. At this same step, you could also perform some operations like removing a string from a data field or performing some string operations and so on. So all the operations are listed here, and you could select one of these to perform if you want more data transformation and cleaning options. So next step would be chatting with data to get more EDA. So continuing with the flow, now we have done like a little bit of cleaning and a little bit of preparation. So usually in a Python notebook, we would go with like scatter plots or do some plotting and have some diagrams to know more about the data. So that same step would be achieved here without any code with the option called chat for data prep. So we can go into the data flow again to get more clarity. And we have a new data with the drop column options. This is our latest data. So we can do chat for data prep here. So it gives us a visual interface which has like a chat option, and you could give some options in natural language. So you can type in just in English or any natural language and get some EDA insights from your data, from your clean data especially. So I'm just using the default option saying what is the average value of the column age, and I can just click the enter button here, and you can see the model the chat for data prep option is giving us some values. So it says the average value of column age is 40. Similarly, if we can perform the similar query in the lab, we can have a scatter plot with the given query. Say, plot a box plot, not a scatter plot. Plot a box plot of job with respect to age. So if we want to like get some insights for the job and the age, and have some correlation and get some idea of how age is related to the job of the person, we could use this query. It says it's generating the content. So now we can see we have a box plot plotted against the job and the age, and we can have some insights. Say maybe the age of 50 plus have these type of jobs and so on. So this is how you can perform chat for data prep and have some EDA insights on your own data. So are we good until now? If we are good, can we get a +2 in the chat? Ashish, if everything is good, can you please let me know?
Everything is okay, Kavya. You are doing great. Keep going. Yeah, we are understanding. And there was a question like, is this chat feature coming from Amazon Q?
I am not really sure of that. Ashish,
Yeah,
do you have
same
any
from me.
idea?
I'm not sure too. So Q, see, SageMaker existed a long before, then Q came in. So I would doubt it. But yeah, we internally are not aware about it. It's a managed service, so we do not know about it. Sorry. Keep going, Kavya.
Awesome. So now that we have performed some EDA analysis and also some cleaning, next step is to train the model. So we are getting all the things at one place, and next steps we could explore is training the model. So what we could do is take the, let me show in the canvas. Again, in the data wrangler, go to the data flow to get that good view and flow of and chaining of all our steps at one place. So if you can see the latest data where we dropped our columns and have some EDA performed, you could do a plus and simply use a create model option for creating a model. So so I have left the dataset name as dataset. Maybe I could say BeSA bank dataset for model. And the model name we could leave as model. And since the interesting feature about SageMaker Canvas is that since we have selected target column as Y, it knows that it is a predictive type of analysis. It automatically detects since it's like a yes or no problem, and it selects a problem for us. So it's automatically populated that it's predictive analysis, and we can just simply export and create a model here. So it says running data flow on dataset. So we have seen that in the previous step that predictive analysis is automatically populated. What if we want to do our own edits? What if we don't want to give that uh, SageMaker to make decisions for us? We can still do some configurations here using the configure model options. Say, for example, if I want to make the maximum job runtime as just 30 minutes, I don't want to make it more than 30 minutes. I could configure it easily in the configure option model option. Similarly, we have other options where you could configure them and then click save when you have all the options configured. So once this is done, our next step is to do a build. So there are two types of build. One which is quick build. Quick build is for like speedy and more. If you want like speed is your priority for building. Say if you want the model to get built in like 15 to 20 minutes, quick build should be option, but it is slightly less accurate. But if you want like a more performing option, and if you want the model to have like little bit more accuracy, you would definitely choose standard build. For this model, I am choosing a standard build with my target column Y. And All my options are configured, and I'm going ahead and clicking standard build. So it says this can take a few minutes. So usually standard build would take more time, but what I have done is I have already created a build of a model, um, and I'll be using that model because we have less time today, and this is how the building overview looks like when we just click the standard build. So for the time purposes, I'm using the model which I already have. So So this is the bank model, which I already have. And if you can see our model now, which we have created, it's still getting built. So it has all the options which I've previously configured, same target value and same two category prediction for while column. And we just use view option. So if you can see, the models which are built are having versions. So if you want to do a little bit more operations on the same model, the version will be automatically changed. So now I'm just clicking on the version here, which is just one version, and we are in the build option previously, and that's where we left the previous model by doing a standard build. So what we could do is, after building a model, we could analyze our model, see how our model is doing, and get some metrics on a model. And we can make some predictions. We can make some predictions with our own data and also using our own data set. And finally, we could deploy our model. So to make the model be available for us to use it in our code or to make inferences, we could also deploy this model all at the single place, which is SageMaker Canvas. So now that we are done with build step, let's go into analyze step. So we could see how our model is performing. We could evaluate our model here. So we could see that accuracy of the model which we have built is approximately 89. It's 89.5%. So it is saying that 89.5% times the model is predicting correct Y value. So if we can see the column impact, the duration column is having again the highest impact for the overall accuracy of this model. And we have F1 scores which are related to a model again. So if we have other options which shows scoring, so it shows like what are the predicted versus actual scores, and some advanced metrics like how we do in Python metrics, we do like confusion matrix to get like total true positives and false negatives and so on. This is how you could access this advanced metrics, example like a confusion matrix. So we can see that overall true positive, false negative, false positive, and true negative values. And we can see that there is like a less percentage of false negative and false positive values, which indicates that our model is doing pretty good and we are all good to go. And moving on, now that we have evaluated a model, we are done with uh, preparation of data, we are done with cleaning of data, we are done with performing EDA on our data, and we have also built a model for predictive type of analysis. And again, we have also evaluated a model by seeing the accuracy and also the columns impacting, and also some advanced metrics like confusion matrix. So next step would be seeing how the model is predicting. So we could go to the predict tab and we can have some options here. So you could predict like a single value, or you could predict like a batch value, and you could also create like a manual predictions or automatic predictions. So for the testing purpose, I'm using a single prediction here. So if you can see, it already has like a value or a row, and it's currently for these options the result of Y is no. Let us try to tweak some of these columns to see how the prediction value goes. So since the overall impacting column is duration, let's try to increase the duration by um, say a higher value. So we can see a notification saying that you have made one change to the value, and we need to update this for getting an updated prediction. So I'll just simply create update prediction and see, since the duration is very high, the prediction value also changed to yes. And also we have different percentage options for yes no type of options, and we have high percentage for yes and low percentage for no. Similarly, like if you want to like perform batch predictions on our data set, say we have this data set which we have just created, we could just select this option and say generate predictions, and the model would generate predictions for us. So if we can see the status, it is generating the predictions for us. And this is how you know the y value column, like how is it predicting the y value from this predict feature in the SageMaker canvas. So it says that it's ready. So if we click the three button options here, we can view details, preview, download, and also send to Amazon QuickSight if you want to perform more visualizations. So I'm just simply doing view details. I think it would be good if we can preview. Yes. So we can see the prediction values for our data set, which we just selected, and the probability and all the related fields here. We could just simply download or just leave it as it is. So are we good until now? We could move on to the last and final step of our lab today. If everything is good until now.
Everyone who is following along, type SageMaker into the chat, and we'll continue. SageMaker in the chat if you're following along. If you have any questions, feel free to put them into chat. Parna is there; she is answering. Kapil is there, so we are trying to answer as much as we can. So yeah, means there was a question, Kavya, while people answer that will we be training multiple model variations?
Yes. So we have seen that there is like a V1 option for us. So
yes, exactly.
There would be multiple versions of the model if we like have to retrain, or if you want to like do like multiple training of the model. So yeah, yeah.
Good. Continue, please.
Awesome. So now that we have predicted, seen how our model is performing for Y value, we can have, this is kind of a previous deployment. Just ignore this one. We can deploy our model to get that endpoint and use it for inference. Simply, we have to click the create deployment option and give a deployment name. I'm just giving BeSA band prediction, and there is an instance type. So what it does is like for the, I think we should not use spaces here. For the model to get deployed, we need some compute power, and that we are getting it through instance type. So this instance type is the EC2 instance, which is running behind, and you could select one type of instance to choose for your model. And you could select number of instances you want to run. If you are like running it for 24 hours, and if you want like higher number of instances, you could select based on this. And just a note, this pricing also depends on this instance type and the number of instances you're choosing. So when you're testing, just make sure you're testing for a lower instance type. And then once you are done with our all the configurations, we could click deploy option. Okay, there is a service limit exceeded for my instance type, which means I have used maybe a couple of times the same instance type previously. So I'm going with a different option now. So yes, we can see that the status isn't creating. It takes a little bit of time to get deployed. So I have done a previous deployment here, and you can see this URL. This URL is used for the actual inference, and it's the deployment URL at the end. After we create the deployment. So this is all about the lab today, and we have seen how everything like prediction, model creation, deployment, and also cleaning of data is happening at one place, and how everything is just by just clicking and not doing any coding options or having a notebook or Python at place. And SageMaker really helps us simplify the machine learning development with just giving this no code drag and drop option for us. Yes, let me stop sharing my screen.
Unmute and speak up now. So yeah, that was good. And as you have seen, everyone, that how easy it is to get started. Though it was very simple thing we have done, but yeah, means don't think that it is the only possibilities. It was time limit. That's why we followed that workshop. But there can be n number of things which you could do. People train huge number of model, and if you talk about the newer model from Amazon Nova, it has been trained on SageMaker, and we have a specific feature called Hyperpod through which the SageMaker model, sorry, the Nova model has been trained. So there are a lot of things which can be done. We explored few things. There was a question, Kavya, that we have used the same data for testing and training, right, here in this particular workshop. But probably in real life, we
Yeah,
split those data type.
right.
Exactly.
We can split those data as test, like 80% of training and 20% of testing. You could
Yes.
do
So yeah, it's always good to split the data. So we don't want to get the result from the same data which model has seen. We want to get result from unseen data. So
that.
a good split is 80-20. 80% data you use for training purpose and keep 20 which you use for further 80-10-10. Yeah, that can be also done. That can be good thing. That's good, Kapil. So yeah, this is an easy way to get started. And there was a question about SageMaker Canvas versus SageMaker Studio. So I'll answer that. Canvas is more UI friendly thing, like where you can run everything from the UI. But when you talk about Studio gives you option for running notebooks. So that can be really useful if you want to do little more hands-on, you want to customize things through commands and through the code. Probably in that particular time you would be utilizing those things. So that will help. And there was another question, can I bring existing model in SageMaker? Answer is yes. SageMaker can be used for fine tuning too. So once your work is there, once you created a model or you bought a public model into SageMaker, any foundation model, and then you can start customizing it as per your need, what we call fine tuning. Or if you want to retrain a model, that can also be done. So yeah, these are some common things which we should be able to do from it. And if you are not very sure on some of the things which we talk about, like inferences and then deployment, check our previous batch videos where we talked about all these things, like what is an inference, what is a feature store, how you select the data set, how we perform data cleaning. So lots and lots of discussion has happened into previous batches also. So I hope everyone has followed along and understood some of the concepts related to this particular workshop. And workshop can be done in your own account, so feel free to run it in your own account. Be aware to remove it when you set up a SageMaker domain. Your charges start. So remove SageMaker domain. If you don't have to keep deployed model for a long time, remove the instances so your charges would be there. That it can be all done. Should not be a problem. Can I change the classifier algorithm used? Yes, you can, Bobby. That's not a problem. It's a very customizable option which you can utilize. So that should not be a problem. How to create an endpoint, Balaram? It will depend on what type of endpoint you are looking for, because there are different type of serverless endpoints you can also deploy. You could deploy things on into a continuous fashion. So it depends. But yeah, there is a simple option of deploy, and you get an endpoint URL. You start talking to that endpoint if you have to communicate with it, and it depends on your use cases. Sometimes you may want to expose your endpoint behind an API gateway. So you may put an API gateway and then you have endpoint that will make you to communicate with it. And if it is internal, you can use VPC endpoint for communication also. Should not be a problem at all on that. All right. Okay, good. Thank you, Kavya. Any more things you want to add? Any idea of what the cost of performing task in this presentation? RAG, we haven't tested it, but it should be within few dollars. That's what my take is. Again, it depends on how long you run it and how much your model takes into training. So it should be a little bit more on the, depends on the type of question, like what it would be the cost. Abhishek has a question of elaborate endpoint. Abhishek, I'll post a LinkedIn message where I talked about different endpoint, because it goes into a little more detail, different type of endpoint and different type of inferences which we can run on it. So endpoint is your door into the model. You deployed the model on EC2 instance. Now I want to send some data so model can perform prediction, right? So that is what an endpoint is. So endpoint is the door on which you will knock to get the service from model, and that will be behind a load balancer. Maybe you could put it behind application gateway, API gateway, sorry, or you could expose it directly. It depends on your use case. So endpoint is the interface where you will be sending your request to. Okay. What is the scenario agent will come into play, Brajesh? So let's say into this particular situation, you now want to get data for a customer also. Like, okay, you predicted this customer is having a possibility to buy the product, right? That's what we did in the model. So we feed the data of customers into the model. Model predicted that which of these customers are likely to buy a product. Now I can use an agent which can now start sending an email to these customers, or when this customer's return email comes in, it could start following along afterwards based on that. So when you have to go outside of model to perform work, could be creating a ticket, could be performing an email interaction, maybe to trigger a workflow into AWS step function, that time you would be using agent. So model has its brain, agent are like hand who could do and perform some task for you. So that's what an agent would come in this example. Simple, I could think of it like sending email to all the customers who we think will be interested in buying the product. So that's how we could utilize it. Okay, any last question, and then we'll go into the actual behavioral track. Anyone else, any other questions, any doubts so far? A cost could be, as Kapil mentioned, it should be below $5 to $10, should not be more than that. So that's how you should be practicing, and don't be afraid in spending that much money on your own learning, right? It's a very good investment you are making if you want to learn on your own. How to make this model to be packaged and run as an outpost service? See, this is the model, which is basically a file. So whatever you require to run a model is like probably the libraries associated with the Java or Python runtime, whatever the model was. You can post it into Outpost EC2 and then run from there if the need be, right? I'm not sure if SageMaker has a direct integration into Outpost, but at the end, it is just a piece of software or file. So you can push it into Outpost and should be able to run it. I'm not sure what your specific use cases, Balram, but technically it should be possible. Okay. All right, let's now bring in stage Prasad and we will get started. Thank you, Kavya, for that. And let me add Prasad to the stage. Hey, Prasad, you are on mute.
Hello, everyone.
Let me.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. And I'll quickly talk about what is going to be happening in behavioral track. So we have Saurabh today with us, and he would be talking through what topics to prepare for AWS SA technical phone screen. Probably you know about Saurabh. Saurabh is a well-known author, and he has published a lot of books on solution architecting, and he is being generous enough to give you free copies of it. So these are the 2 books which he will be giving away today, and this is three copies of each. So total 6 people would be selected, and the selection would be based on people who share things about this session and the learning from the Saurabh session on social media. And do not forget to tag Saurabh, and he will then directly start communicating with you. But yeah, these are good books. Even if you don't win, invest your money, buy these books and learn from it if you are very serious about solution architect interview. Over to you. Let me add Saurabh also now to stage. Hello, Saurabh. How are you doing, sir?
Hey,
Hi
Saurabh.
Ashish, hi Prasad. Yeah, looking forward for it and glad to be here.
Same here. Early morning for you, Saurabh, I guess.
Yes, it's early morning for me.
So thank you for being here on Saturday. I know it's a little difficult with family time and all, but yeah, I'll let and Prasad and you talk. And in this, there is a question in chat. I'll pop over and then we'll ask those questions too. Go ahead, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashish and Kavya, for the insightful session. And thanks, Saurabh, for joining us. Anyone who is joining for the first time today, as you all know, we are doing the behavioral sessions in which we are covering how to be a solutions architect or crack the solutions architect interview at AWS. And every week we are covering one topic in depth. And this week we'll be covering specifically about the technical phone screen. That what happens at AWS in technical phone screen and what you should be preparing. And who better to answer those questions than Saurabh himself. He is a solutions architect leader at AWS, and I'll let him introduce himself. Saurabh.
Yeah. Thank you, Prasad. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to come to the forum and especially have the live chat and live answer with the builders. And quickly about me, I'm in AWS almost 10 years and I lead the team of solution architect, and I have been in different roles. So I've been to role as an individual contributor, working as application development solution architect, then analytics solution architect, then machine learning and AI, and then I took the leader role and leading the different sort of team in all segment of the AWS. And before that, I started my career as a software developer. So around 10 years, I did the software development and some architecting, software architect work for 5 years. So total 20 years around. And in Amazon, yes, I do lots of hiring. and so definitely can talk about this topic and give more insight. And I'm also Amazon bar raiser, so we can talk about that also. So if the bar raiser concept is, it is a bar raiser responsibility to look that the person is raising the bar more than 50% of the people in the company. So it means we always looking to hire the people smarter than us. So if I have the people in the same role, like senior solution architect role, as a bar raiser, I will be looking the person I'm going to hire is better than 50% people already in that role. Okay, so that's the gist of it.
That is- No, thanks. And having almost a decade of experience at AWS itself in different roles of solutions architect and being solutions architect leader, that's amazing. And based on your experience, you have written a number of books to help other people become solutions architect, whether it is solutions architect handbook or uh, now the latest one is probably Gen AI one, right? That you have.
Yes. Yeah. So actually, I started getting lots of questions from the people, and and I try to answer as much as possible in LinkedIn, but it was hard to scale at a point. So being Amazonian, I thought how to scale it, and then first book I published in 2020, the Solution Architect Handbook, which is third edition now. It is still going strong, around 85,000 plus copies sold on that,
Wow.
which I never thought of. The latest one I published, the generative AI for software developer, which is very relevant to the solution architect and any tech person. But I targeted the software developer audience first because they are the more fear generative AI going to take the job, right? So that's what. But next book will come. And then very dedicated for the solution architect, I put the AWS for solution architect book and the solution architect interview book, the topic which we are going to discuss today.
Yes, yes, solutions architect, and that is the one of the book that will be giveaways. So yeah, once you
Yes.
go to the session, do create the LinkedIn post, social media post, and tag startup, and we'll be selecting the top winners to send the books. Cool. Now let's focus on the topic, and the topic is what happens in a technical phone screen. So if I ask you the question about what is the structure of a technical phone screen for a solutions architect interview?
Yeah, so the structure of the technical phone screen is the first, let's understand what is the idea of the technical phone screen, right? So as a hiring manager, and when I look at the technical phone screen, there is a bigger investment when we bring the candidate on site, right? Especially if I will talk about the Amazon, but it is applicable to many other company. Almost it is same, right? And it is almost 5-6 hours of the interview time, which where candidate also need to invest a full day. He may have to take off, and recruiter have to coordinate between the 5-6 people and get the time from everyone. Then people are not only taking the interview, entering feedback, going debrief. So it is a good amount of the time, and we call it, those are the very expensive things to do, right? When you are getting the so many people engaged. So when we are working, bringing the people for the on-site interview, we want to understand if it is, when we are spending that much time, it is worth spending that, right? It is not necessary that we want 100% strike rate, everyone will get selected and all those things, right? But we also want, when we are talking, at least we are learning, candidate have good experience, and he has the better possibility. So that is the first things, understand the mental model behind the technical phone screen. Now, so I'm talking about the work backward mechanism, right? What thinking from the other side of the table, right? So then what we are going to check into the on-site interview, yes, there will be the couple of round of tech interview, one or two leadership round, there will be bar raiser round. So at least this is a good mix of the technical interview and the for a solution architect perspective, and the good mix of the behavioral round also, and company fit. So now once it comes to the technical phone screen, technical phone screen is not just technical. Normally, I divide it like 70-30. It may be 70% on the technical and 30% on the behavioral side. Okay, the attitude side, right? So let's, I will divide in three parts, right? First, I will check on the, what is the tech breadth of architect. As an architect, you are responsible to design the entire system, not one piece of it, right? So tech breadth include the different pieces of the architecture. And it's a start with, if I will go from the foundation, right? It is the networking, it is the compute, it is storage, and then we are looking the container and overall how the deployment will work, CI/CD pipeline, and how we are going to operationalize it, and how much all these technology architecture when candidate is answering can think about the well-architected framework. The architecture I'm building, whether it is operational, whether it is cost efficient, resiliency, or it is operational or not, right? And most important part I look at, it should be the operational. You can pick any 6-8 people, and might be one architect, 5 developer. You can build a good product in 6 months. The main things is how it should run for next 5 years, right? And that's where it need to be scale, it need to be adhere all the user workload and all those things. So that is first part of it, breadth of it. And second part is depth. So we know that everyone, people are not champion and all those things, right? So we kind of look T-shaped skill, means you know the breadth of the technology, like 200 level, but you go deep in one. And person can say that, hey, I am in deep in the application development. Other person can say, so there will be definitely the more depth question on the designing the API, circuit breaker pattern, and all those things. The person can say, I'm in the expert on the big data and analytics. There will be more, okay, so talking about the data mesh architecture, data lake architecture, lake house architecture, all those sort of the things. And if talking about the container and Kubernetes, definitely would like to learn how you configure the pod, how you deploy, how you manage the etcd database and all those things, right? So that is the depth part of it. And the third part is come to the behavioral interview, where at least couple of the key leadership principle we want to check. And one of my favorite leadership principle is the customer obsession, right? So if you will see that customer don't know always what they want, right? But they were looking for you to give the right advice so they can get delighted. And this is my famous quote, and I always talk in all the forums. And I really like when Henry Ford, someone interviewing Henry Ford, and he says, if I will ask the people what they want, they will say faster horses, they will not say car, right? But he has to come up with the concept of car, and people say, wow, this is something exists there. So that's where customer obsession, mostly like how you advise the customer when customer don't know what they want, right? Are you able to ask the right question and get the right, you may, and give them the options, right? You want this versus that. And other is definitely bias for action, how fast you can act and all those things, right? I'm even talking on the terms of the leadership principle, but if you look, the leadership principle is way of life. I applied in my personal life also, not only on the professional life, but it helps you to crack any interview with any company or live your personal life, organized it. Okay, so I will stop here.
No, that's true. Actually, what you said at the end, right? It's a way of life. I remember when I was preparing for my Amazon, like AWS interview, and at the end of the AWS interview, I'm like, whatever the outcome is, it doesn't matter. I learned so much preparing for it, understanding about leadership principles and everything that is going to stay there for life. But okay,
Yes,
let me
yes.
recap what you talked about the entire technical phone screen interview. It's mainly three parts. Obviously it depends upon different roles, whether it's a specialist role or generalist role, but in general it's kind of a two-way thing. It will be both technical as well as behavioral. It will not be just purely technical. And even in technical there will be two parts to it. One is depth and one is breadth. As a solutions architect, you need to have a broad understanding of multiple areas, and then choose your specialization and dive deep into it. That's always going to help. On a related thing, Saurabh, there is a specific question from Vasu.
Mhm.
Can a person without solutions architect experience crack a solutions architect job interview? What's your take on it?
So I will say yes. Everyone don't get chance to have the solution architect experience, right? Maybe different reason. Maybe your organization don't have that kind of opportunity, and these are the handful things. Okay, handful roles. Okay, where you lots of people may be looking for it, right? So I will say yes, you can get, but you have to do some checkbox there, right? So even when we are hiring, it's not like we are always looking for the people who are coming from the deep solution architect kind of experience, right? What the difference I feel that when you are coming on the solution architect league, and when you are working on the own things, right? So let me take an example. If a database admin is want to become a solution architect, right? You can take a specialist database specialist solution architect path role, right? Now you have the all the tech skill there because you have the dive deep on the database. But second part, you want to have little breadth on that, right? How these particular thing connect across all the application development cycle. And it is not just to stop at just talking about building the SQL query, putting the procedure, troubleshooting the database performance, but also at one layer up, like how you applying the caching and all those things if application want to query to that, right? I'm just taking an example. For tech part, I think you little bit sorted out, get more breadth on the technology, right? If you are just on Oracle, try to see, provide the options. That's your option. How I can provide the open source option. And I think if you know one database well, you can learn the other. You can learn the Postgre, you can learn the Mongo, and also learn other kind of database, whether everything is not SQL, go for the NoSQL or graph database or now vector database, right? Everyone is talking about vector database because of generative AI, right? And so this is the second part of it. Now try to get little bit up level on the different platform, like the cloud platform. So cloud is something it is a very normal things, right? So today if I interview someone 3 years ago, if you'll ask, someone will say I don't know cloud. I said no problem, come, we will teach you, right? But today it is so popular, so common, we expect people to know at least some part of it. So try to do some certification and all. Certification will not only force you to learn the breadth of the knowledge, but also it shows you are learn and be curious, you are putting the extra effort to learn that, right? And finally, and get lots of hands on, that is for sure. And finally, the difference of the, suppose a network admin, database admin, and is and solution architect is the customer facing skill and thought leadership. So if you are regularly putting some blocks out, you don't need any forum, just go write in Medium. And even when I started, I was a software developer, I created a blog spot. It is still exists, a Google blog spot, and published like 100 blogs there. That's how I become solution architect, right? So create your own blog channel, put it. It will improve your writing skill. It will tell you how to talk to the people and all those things. And mostly it differentiate where you need to respond to RFP, RFI, and all those things. However, RFP, RFI experience, request for proposal, and all those experience, you have to be on job. But all these check box, if you will do, then definitely people will ready to consider you, and you will get the opportunity for a solution architect. And I have hired many people like that. Even I came from the same path.
Yeah, even I come from a software developer background. Like, most people either come from the infrastructure background or software developer background. Very few people will start their career as a solutions architect. They will grow into
Right.
that role over the time. And as Saurabh mentioned, like as a technical person, you'll be already having the technical skills. And it doesn't matter if you do not have it on cloud. Even if you have it on-prem, they are very transferable skills. Even if you're, let's say, a mainframe person or a database person or networking person, all of those skills are very transferable to the cloud. Just ensure that if your aim is to become a solutions architect, you have that customer facing opportunity. And if you do not have in your current role, see how you can get the business context behind whatever technical solutions you are doing, because that is something as a solutions architect we do a lot. We try and understand the customer requirement and then work backward from it to create the technical solution. So as a technical person, we do have a good exposure to the technical solutions. Try and get exposure to the business context, and then you will be sorted
Yes.
for that. Great. Let's keep moving on. I know there is a lot of questions going on, and we'll come back to the questions, but let's keep moving. Is prior knowledge of AWS services required to clear AWS Solutions Architect interview?
I will say it's not required, okay, but it will be good effort, and be honest in your interview, okay. Say that, hey, I have lots of experience working in the on-prem data center. It could be the HP, or I'm working with the VMware or whatever it is, right? And I gave attempt to learn it, right? So suppose if you are doing the basic certification, if you know that at least basic things, right? Yeah, server in the on-prem called EC2 here, right? Or database in on-prem is pertain to RDS here, right? If as I said 3 years ago, if you come and give me the interview, even I will not ask that mapping also. But today I just want to say that, hey, you took the attempt, and you can say that, hey, I try to learn that, and here I have done the basic certification, practitioner or associate, but I have lots of depth on the technology. It's just not on AWS, right? And see, it is nothing. It is just whatever we are doing into the on-prem, same things in AWS, but the terminology is different, and you can do more easier and scaled way. In fact, the people, like if I talk to infrastructure people, I want people who are coming from the on-prem background, who has done who has worked on the NAS and created the RAD 0, RAD 1, RAD 10, striped the hard disk, created the replication. Those kind of knowledge, people who just started in the cloud can never get, right? And I am looking for those kind of people to come here and help and use that kind of knowledge, right? And especially when we are advising to the customer, most of our customer target base is still moving from the on-premises to the cloud. So we need people who understand both technology. Then only you understand the customer problem well, right? So I will say, in a nutshell, the AWS deep requirement of the AWS services is not required.
Yeah, it's not required. It's good to have, not a must have,
Yes.
right? But yes, it definitely shows your learn and be curious if you are able to make an attempt. And believe me, few hours is more than enough to get the basic understanding. Like a 3 hour or 4 hour videos should be more than enough for you to easily understand and map your existing knowledge to the cloud. Cloud makes things easier, like so it's always good. Okay, we'll keep moving on. There is one question from someone, and I also had that question in my list. Are candidate expected to code during the phone screen?
Yeah. No, for solution architect interview, it is not expected. Coding is not expected. The most focus on the kind of the system design kind of things, architecture design and system design. So if you are coming, it depend upon, suppose if you are coming on the entry level solution architect, right? Then it is expected that you are going to build lots of hands-on prototype and all those things, right? We called it associate solution architect, and there may be some question related to some small scripting kind of things. But if you are coming like a senior solution kind of role, it is not required.
Yes, it will be more whiteboarding of the overall design and all, like, a 3-tier web architecture. That's one of the most common question that we love to ask, right? And like, you'll be surprised how many people get stuck in just simply explaining a 3-tier web architecture. But yeah. Moving on to it, like, you talked about associate solutions architect, and there is a question from Pavan also, and also we had in our list, how does the interview differ for different kinds of level? Like, we have associate, then an associate solution architect, solutions architect, senior solutions architect, and principal solutions architect. So how does it differ? between that, the
Yes.
levels?
Okay. Yeah, so between level, it's very different. Okay, so I will at least talk about the 3 level: solution architect, senior solution architect, and principal solution architect, right? The entry level solution architect, normally we hire from the college graduate and all, and we give them the good time to learn. We have the tech university kind of tech U, we call it tech U program, where they go 6 month very rigorous program to learn everything, right? But we look very basic things for there, like we don't expect any depth, but we look different area like basics of networking, operating system, or all those things which people have might have read in their graduation, right? And all the, but when coming to these 3 role, more looking from the behavioral perspective, for the solution architect, which we hire at L5 level normally, we look for that if that person can build the architecture, right, with little guidance, right? Maybe he's creating the architecture, but it might require some guidance here and there, and then he can build it, right? When it comes to the next level of senior solution architect, we expect that the person is while building the able to build the architecture, but also able to handle the edge cases there, right? And while he's able to handle the edge cases, at least he has some replicable mechanism, right? He can take those, whatever he's building, he can take it to the multiple customers, right? And then I will come example, and I will talk a single example also, okay, and take through all these 3. While principal architect is very senior role, it is the CTO kind of role, right? And Prasad is the senior principal architect here. He promoted from the senior to principal, right? And even I went through the path and did lots of promotion there. Principal architect, you kind of impact entire organization. You build something, you create something which can be replicated across the organization or impact a big segment of the customer, not just a handful customers, right? So let's talk about an example, right? Yep. If I am taking first question I ask people, tell me the most complex architecture you have built, right? If a L5 solution architect is there and they are talking about building suppose a software application development, app dev kind of, most of the things is related to the application development, right? But if they able to explain different part of it, right, and saying that these are the 3-layer, 4-layer architecture, okay, and then how we handle the caching and how we handle the caching at database level, also at the static and dynamic asset caching using the content distribution network and all those things, then it is good for that purpose. And also when it's coming to senior solution architect, definitely I want to when he's talking, he just not talk about the architecture, but he apply the well architecture framework very well there. And he talked about the edge cases. And today, if my workload is user workload is 10,000 users, and suddenly I put some viral things, it become a 1 million. How I'm going to handle it? At the same time, I'm not over architecting, right, to increasing unnecessary cost. That is also very important. So at least applying that. And then when I'm going to the principal architect, what the principal architect will do, he will take that architecture, can convert into the SaaS solution, and create a full-fledged product which can be sold to the multiple customers and create a new revenue stream for the company. So that's the level of difference there. And there is a big jump of differentiation between the senior solution architect and principal. There is a huge difference. If from the solution architect to senior solution architect, we are going 2 to 4, then principal, we are directly jumping from 4 to 10. And that's what I talked. There is a really big things required there.
That's true, actually. And think about it always in terms of the scale and impact that you are making. As a principal, the example that I give, and thanks, Sarah, for giving such a powerful example. Hopefully, audience will be able to now understand, when they are interviewing, what kind of examples that they should be providing so that they don't get down leveled. We see a lot. There's people coming to
Yes,
interview at
yes.
L7, but they are generally at a L5 level kind of stuff. That happens a lot. The example that I provide mostly is, think about that as a principal solutions architect. If I need to go and talk to a customer to make an impact, then I am not scaling myself. Even if the customer is, let's say, 100 million ARR, but if I need to go and speak to each and every customer, then I'm not at a principal level. The principal level is they make the impact without being in the room themselves. They have found ways to scale themselves in a way that the impact is being made at multiple customer level while they are not there present in that room. And there are multiple ways to scale, whether it is creating reference architectures. Even that will be still considered as a L6, yeah, senior level. But there are other ways, as Saurabh mentioned. How are you able to impact the bottom the revenue? If you're able to impact the bottom line, that's where your principal level things comes into picture. Great. Let's keep moving on. How are we doing on time? Okay, 3 more minutes left before Ashish comes on camera and says that, okay, enough of talk. Let me see what other questions we do have. Okay, what behavioral skills are interviewers looking for during the technical phone screen? Like, we talked about the technical questions a bit. We talked about a few of the examples. What are the kind of behavioral skills that are being looked during the technical phone screen?
Yeah, so I talked about the customer obsession, so we'll not go there. But most important things is the learn and be curious. As a solution architect, you need to be continue learning, right? And at least everyone can fail, and I can personally see how the career is getting evolved when things are coming. I talked about the different roles I did, right? So I joined AWS as an app dev solution architect. Then, big fleet of big data analytics things come back in 2017, 18, and 19. Then I took the role of the big data and kind of definitely get lots of dive deep into that. And then ML things came, and then I took the ML part of it. In between, uh, and now the generative AI is there. So you can see I already wrote a book on the generative AI, right? So today, take a simple example. I'm looking if a customer is coming and saying that I want to build this FSI solution which handle the GDPR compliances, right? Uh, so there will be huge difference between the old way and new way, right? New way, you can always talk about the agentic AI, right? So, and how the agentic AI can help to build that app instead of 6 months in 1 month, right? You can create one agent which can go and search for the latest complaints, other app which can go and look for the agent which can look at the RAG architecture, following the database, get the company knowledge, what they are looking, and marry that and build it, right? So there is mostly you are dealing with the API call and relying on FM model rather than you are writing the whole business logic. And that's what customer is looking for. But if you are not aware of it, you will go and suggest like building a whole big application, right? And that is also right approach. Okay, but when new technology is coming, it's always improving, and the efficiency, the productivity. So when technology is shifting, I am looking at least the learn and be curious is the most important things. And it is not happen just on the job training. Being a solution architect, you have to take the extra effort, you have to do the tinkering. Okay, like I reserve my at least in evening, like for 1 hour, or if I'm traveling, I just used to learn something, read the book or watch the video. You have to find the time, you have to build that discipline. So I think that is very important.
I agree. One of the important behaviors that we look for is that how the person keep themselves updated for the latest technologies. As a solutions architect, it's a must requirement, I would say. So yeah, thank you for sharing. Now, there will be a lot of questions during the technical phone screen, which is like technical breadth, as you said, technical depth, and even this behavioral. And as a candidate, it's normal that they would not be knowing some questions, answers to some of the questions. how should a candidate handle the questions that they don't know answer to?
Yes, if you don't know answer, be very honest about it, right? Even I don't expect the person is going to have the 100% answer. And if person has, we will get till the level when he don't have answer. She, right? Because we also want to gauge if the person, what level of depth he has or what level of breadth he has. So always expect that you will not know the answer of all the questions, right? So simple example, we talk about 3-tier web architecture, which is very normal and people come with that, right? But we go in so deep, at some point person can say, hey, I don't know this, right? And that's fine. But still we make our perception and we do the selection on basis of that. So I will say, be honest. If you don't know, just say you don't know. But if it is about the logic, apply the first principle, right? And if you don't know about the first principle, just read it, right? First principle is the way. If you don't know the answer, how to get to it, right? If you so what actually we are looking, if you have the basic foundation knowledge and you apply the first principle and try those things put together, are you able to reach some solution or not, which is near to what is the expectation, or you are trying to found something different and delight us, right? So that is fine, but never bluff, that's what I will say. But definitely give your attempt, and don't waste interviewer time also. If you don't know, you have no clue, then it's fine. But if you have, you say, hey, this part I know, and tell your thought process, hey, this part I know, and I think that if I will put it together, then it should solve the problem.
Yeah, think loud, and we do want to see how you handle when you don't know the answers, right? Because see, you will be in front of customers, and and there will be scenarios when you will not be knowing answers, and if you start lying there, that's a red flag. So that's what we want to see, that if we ask you a question and if you don't know the answer, how well are you able to handle it? It's always okay to say, okay, I don't know it, I'll get back on it. And as as Saurabh mentioned, uh, that apply the first principle, think loud. We also want to know your thought process, what is going on behind your brain. How are you trying to solve the problem? That also helps. We're not looking for a perfect answer. How you arrive at the answer is also very important. So talk about that openly with the interviewer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will address one myth, right? So I see that people are chatting in the side, and every answer should be in the star format, right? It doesn't matter technical or behavioral. If you have any doubt how I can take the technical interview in the star format, you can always look this book. It has all the examples how it can be in the star format, right? And if you are talking about the tech interviews, we want to understand and what situation you have solved when you build some architecture, when you build your most complex architecture. What was the situation? Why you went and built that? What problem you solved? And what was the impact of it? Does it improve the performance? Does it reduce the cost? Does it created the new revenue for the customer? So always go with that.
I totally agree. And as simple as a simple question would be like, build a 3-tier architecture. Think about, like, I as an interviewer, I am interviewing multiple candidates. All candidates talk about, okay, here is how you're going to build a 3-tier architecture. If one of the candidate comes and says that here is how I have done in my previous project, and these are the kind of challenges I have faced, this is why I use this particular thing in this particular layer, that will always be more impactful. So yes, every technical question can also have a story behind it, and it can be very beautifully explained in a star format.
Yes,
Thanks, Saurabh,
yes.
for sharing it. And I see Ashish on the screen. That
Yeah,
means
means
our time is
technology is
up.
not there for sake of technology. It is solve business problems. So relate technology to what problem you are trying to solve.
Yes, yes.
Exactly. Nice discussion. Means we wanted it to go on, but yeah, there is a time limit and everyone has their own personal things to do. So that's why I have to pop up. So hopefully that people got questions answered. And then if you have more questions, feel free to put them into the Discord channel and we'll relate to Saurabh. Don't bug him with very simple question. He has a lot of things to do. If you can Google it, it's not worth someone's time, right? So if you cannot get answer from Google, first try it. Otherwise, if it's very specific or something which you can't get answer at all, then probably you should put it into Slack channel or somewhere else. But yeah, I mean, Saurabh talked about the book. It's an interesting book. and you have a chance to win it. Please make sure that you share this learning on social media and tag Saurabh on that. And based on that, we would select 3 winners for Solution Architect interview and 3 for generative AI for software developers. So there are 6 books to be won. So please feel free to put that information into LinkedIn, and everyone would get benefited for that. And thanks, Saurabh, for offering these books for free as a giveaway.
And if anyone is thinking about what LinkedIn post that they should be making, rewatch the video. You will find those wisdom nuggets that Saurabh has shared, and share that. Which of the tip you liked the most? Here is an idea, and talk about that and write a LinkedIn post about it. That how that tip has helped you, and stand a chance to win these amazing books.
Yeah, and thanks. It was great session. I really enjoyed. I think we should do more of it, whether it is outside of the regular course session or not. Right? It's really a fun session. And one last advice is I will definitely give to all the solution architect or all the anyone is tech community. Get into the league of the generative AI. Right? It is not hoax. Right? If you'll ask me, till last year when people were saying, hey, generative AI will replace the developer, architect, and all those things, it is not going to replace, but certainly it is going to optimize, like the way computer optimize the typewriter, the way calculator optimize the accounting, the same way generative AI is going to optimize it. And when I see the latest innovation, whether it is DeepSeek or it is the Manus.ai. If you're not heard about Manus, go and try it, right? I just blown away, right? And now I see these things is coming to reality. So this is the time when you see the how people solution architect move from the on-prem architecture to the cloud. And this is the time, the next leap from the cloud to the generative AI, right? And learn as an architect, go deep and learn what is how you can build the same architecture we have built in the cloud. Obviously, you are going to cloud infrastructure. How you can build the same architecture using the AI agent or agentic AI, how you can fine tune the FM model or how you can evaluate that. So this is my last advice in this forum. Okay, so just be prepared for that.
That's a good one. Yeah, generative AI is obviously going to impact a lot of things in positive way, I would say, and it's better to be in forefront of it rather than lagging behind. Right. Thank you so much, Saurabh. Thanks, Prasad, and thanks everyone for joining. As a next step, what we would recommend that you post this information on LinkedIn and let everyone know about what you learned. Complete the workshop. We have the link also in chat, and we'll put it into the YouTube section also. Share your learning on LinkedIn. We already talked about it. Help other in Discord channel. If somebody is asking a question, if you know answer, if you want to collectively work, feel free. And you can also use the graphic which we have to spread word about BeSA. And feedback is important, whether it could be YouTube comment or a like on YouTube or anything on to Discord channel. But please let us know how you are liking the session. And everyone, thank you so much for being with us on Saturday. And we have more exciting things coming next Saturday too. This was week 5. We have 3 more interesting weeks coming up. So stay tuned and let us know what you would like to learn more. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Saurabh.